Hey everyone, today is October 14th, 2024. The time is 6:07 p.m. Just wrapping up my day over here at Kingdom Leaders, and recently put out an article, or actually I'm getting ready to put out an article. And what I'm going to start doing and making a habit of is taking these articles and just talking about them, right? Because some of the stuff, it's a little long, right? I'm long-winded in my speech. I'm long-winded in I type. It's something I'm personally working on. But I also want to make sure that you guys get the information, and that's usually why my stuff is so long. Is that I'm trying to think of all different kind of angles to be able to help the maximum amount of people, right? So the majority of people look at it, well, that doesn't help me. This helps me, right? How can I parse this information? So this is an attempt to be able to do that. In fact, one of the companies I work for, they made a recommendation: anything over 4 sentences, you should make a video, Thomas, because it is important information, but we want to make sure that everybody gets it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen and share the documents. Just give me 2 seconds. All right, so it's labeled as, what does it mean to trust, right? And this is something that I've discussed with, sales teams, managers, executive leadership. Is this definition of trust? And I really do think that it helps overall to be able to understand, dependability, right? And also that just because you can't depend on somebody for something now, it doesn't mean you can't depend on them in the future. And then really taking a look at how somebody's trend is going, right? Their altitude or their attitude is heading. You can see, wow, okay, this person learns fast, right? Because they understand, they're going from an unconscious incompetent phase, right, to an unconscious competent, right? So now they don't even have to focus on it, but they had to go through this, difficult time. The good news is that this person doesn't take that long to do it because they're very humble and they come in assuming that they know nothing, right? So that's what this is going to be. Hopefully it'll be able to help you and be able to help you with your organizations or help you in your life and to understand who can you depend on. And then also the last part is that, look, if you have an area of your life and you're looking around and you're like, man, I don't have that person. You probably need to, first off, go find the person, right? And then also this may be something that you need to take on yourself, right? One of my mentors, one of his common phrases is, if you're not shooting for what, then shoot for who, right? So who, not what, or what, not who, same difference. But the point is, though, is that if I don't always need to learn everything, right? So at my company, I don't need to do all the marketing, advertising, and be caught up on Google Analytics 4, and now I need to do programming, create the CRM, and I need to do customer service over here. I need to do life coaching over here. I need to do retirement counseling over here. No. You can find the right people, and then hopefully you're finding people that are a heck of a lot better at your job or what you're looking for. And these are people that you can depend upon, and you have the same mission and vision, and you're heading towards the same direction. So without further ado, I think it's enough of an introduction. That was not part of the article, so it's an extension of it. But this is it, right? So got a nice little, picture photo. I did not create this in Adobe. Sometimes I do. Okay, this is through ChatGPT. They did a fantastic job just showing your heart in the mix, right? And how trust is between two people or machines or whatever it may be, right? And it's important. It's outstanding. And so the title says, what does it mean to trust? So let's start with that question. What does it mean to trust someone? This significant word has been used very broadly recently. It is time to understand the root of the word and how understanding the true meaning behind trust can help us navigate our lives while adding efficiency to achieving our goals and building strong relationships. A quick Google search defined it, trust as firm belief in reliability, truth, ability, strength of someone or something. And I just wrote down some examples of phrases that we use, and the phrases, this is a timeout towards the article. Phraseology has destroyed the meaning behind a lot of really important phrases and words. I think in our age, we have to take a look at historically, how did these phrases come to be? What was the meaning and the historical context behind them? Because we've lost that, and we've lost the impact of that. just going back to what I was saying, if I was like, hey, it's about the concept, who, not what, right? And that's all I said, you'd be like, who, not what, how, right? What are you talking about, Thomas? You can't just say the phrases and repeat them over and over, right? The meaning behind them is more important. And then once you've said it enough times, in order to not have to say it again, it's like, hey man, that's like who, not what, right? So same thing here. These phrases have lost their meaning. Okay. So it says, here are some common phrases, use with trust. So I only trust them as far as I can throw them. So that's not a literal thing. Sometimes it is, right? You get angry, you throw people, right? We're a Christian organization, okay? So we want to forgive them, hug that person out, right? But but at the same time, it is a common phrase, and we all know it. The second phrase is trust must be earned. And that's an opinion, right? But it is a common phrase. I've met people that they trust them as soon as they need them, but when they get any kind of feedback that is not towards, that says, hey, I shouldn't trust this person, they start to lose that. And for those people, you kind of never get it back. So, quid pro quo, everybody has their own ideals and concepts and everything. So there's that. The third one is trust your instincts. Okay. So instincts are natural reactions that we feel, right? Our cells literally, I believe, store experiences and the result of those experiences, right? So sometimes we feel extreme pain and we're like, okay, cool, I don't want to do that again, right? And then sometimes we feel extreme happiness and pleasure, right? Like graduating from college, right? Or getting your master's degree after that, or having your firstborn child, right? Like it's those are instincts that you say, man, this is a good idea. Maybe I should have 4 kids, and you're like, no, I'm just kidding. I love my kids, but still, you understand what I'm saying? That's trust your instincts. Okay, so moving on to the next one. It says we cannot wait trust, but trust weighs heavily on us, right? So meaning that if we don't trust something and we should trust it, then we lose opportunities, and vice versa, we make mistakes. So recently in an expertise edition on LinkedIn, the question was asked, what if you lose someone's trust? And which sparked the idea of this article. And I said, wait a minute, this is a concept that I've taught others and I mentored. So I want to be able to pass it down to everybody. So let's discuss the different types of trust. I'm not talking about revocable, irrevocable trust, okay? We're not going to be talking about those. We're talking about the concept of trusting another individual. So to build or to lose trust, it is essential to understand that trust comes in different types, sizes, and intensities. Trust is a capacity item, meaning that we get results if we manage it properly, right? It's a resource, right? That's the way to think about it. I have a certain amount of patience throughout my day, right? Your tank gets empty, you're no longer patient, right? Trust is the same thing. I have a certain amount of trust that I can give out, and once I give out the trust, whether it ends up being profitable or not, it's a little heavy, it weighs more, right? It takes more out of my gas tank. But either way, I'm going to spend my trust, and I'm not going to be able to get that back. I'm not going to be able to get the time that I had back in trusting someone. And you're generally going to run into those situations every single day. So it's very important that we use this resource properly. So that's why we're evaluating. So there you are. So trust is a capacity, meaning we get the results if we manage it properly. Still, if we mismanage or malinvest our trust, we depend on skill, result, attribute, or person to be there, and they won't be, right? So we're gonna hope to depend on that person. We're gonna trust to depend on the person. It's not on valid information, or maybe it's wrong information that we've received, but unfortunately they won't be, and that can be costly. So it says, below is a list of various classifications of trust. So, these are areas where you can trust someone, right? And you should gauge people in your area. There's nothing wrong with doing this, right? I had some people say, oh, well, I'm actually constantly gauging people around me and identify them. Really? Okay, so you don't want to find out, when somebody's getting better at something so you can give them more opportunity, right? Or maybe keep this person completely away from this area because they just don't have the capacity. So let's go into a couple of these, right? So capacity. Trust me, I got this. How many times have we heard that phrase only to be let down? I know a lot of people in my life that I've said that phrase, and I've let those people down. Why? Because I spoke out of a sense of confidence that was not backed by enough validity. right? I had done something in the past or said something in the past that made me believe that I could do it. And we all, based off of the max amount of information, realistically, we wish we had more information and maybe it wasn't necessary at the time, but still, how many times have you heard that? Trust me, I got this, only to be let down. So it is not the fault of the person who asked to trust them, but it is our fault for generating faith in that person, that they can produce the result without the supporting evidence. Another factor we should look at is the circumstances around us when thinking of trusting someone's ability to do what they said they would. Someone may have repeatedly proven that they can succeed most of the time when attempting the task at hand, but in the environment, but in that environment present, right? Someone may have sunk every single three shot, right? I can't shoot. Don't look at that hand. But I can shoot every single three shot when playing horse, right? You're on point. But it doesn't really matter in a live game, right? I'm not going to say, oh man, we're putting that guy in. It's like, dude, it's like 5'6" or whatever I am, right? Like, don't put that man in, okay? Horse, he can stay in. But in the sense of capability-based trust, it takes time, practice, and awareness of documentation to honestly know when someone can produce what they believe they can. We always have a sense of trust in the situation, but the level of trust is hinged upon historical achievement. There's a time out in the article. You know, if you end up having more trust in yourself, right, than what you should, like confidence, we go over that one, then you're never going to learn in that area. It's actually a good thing to not have trust in yourself in a certain area, but it's not okay to stay there. That's when we put labels on ourselves, like, well, I'm stupid, or I'm just not good at that, right? That's not even close to being true. And you can get better at everything with experience over time, and then just finding the proper knowledge and having the wisdom to use it at the correct time, right? They say attitude, student mentality, and work ethic are the three most important elements to success, right? If I can study it, I can work my butt off, right? And I can have the attitude to keep on moving forward, taking failure as feedback, then I'm going to go ahead and hit my goals, right? So if you have anything in your life like, I'm just not good, I just can't swim, I just can't, it's not true. You can slowly but surely move up. It's that maybe you've excelled in everything else and you don't know about those steps. Well, we can get you from the unconscious incompetent, right, to that, conscious, you can get conscious competent all the way to unconscious competent, which you essentially are black belt. You don't have to think about it anymore, but there's stages in between, right? You have to take those steps. All right, so as we go into this, we already talked about how someone may have repeatedly proven that they succeed most of the time. We talked about the three shots, right? We have a sense of trust in the situation, but the level of trust in the historical achievement. So let's move on to loyalty. Most people use this type to describe trust, but so overall, when you think of trust, you think of loyalty, right? Like, I trust this person is going to be loyal to me, right? Or loyal to that person. Now, there's a sense of loyalty that you kind of got to understand. There's limits to people's loyalty for good reasons, and we're going to go into those. So it is essential to know and accept that as humans, we have self-interest, right? Ultimately, if we don't have a little bit of self-interest, then we're not going to be able to help anybody, because we're not taking time to, bathe ourselves, right? We're not taking time to make ourselves better, to study, to be knowledgeable, because all we're doing is just things for other people. We have to, as they say, put the oxygen mask, that'd be horrible. The oxygen mask, as the plane goes down, on you first, then you can put it on others, because you put it on others first, then you can't put it on anybody else. So you have to have some form of self-interest, but you want to have kind of as little as possible, right? You want to look out for the other person. So when you manage trust properly, you don't get let down as often. You can formulate better plans based on reality rather than an emotional sense of confidence. There are only so many people who will sacrifice their interests to make sure others are fulfilled, and do it naturally. That's the trick, right? If you think about it, of course, you go out of your way. If somebody has said, hey man, help this person out. Oh man, I guess I'll be late to work. Yeah, you help the person out. They're hurt. This can be seen as the highest form of trust, as also defined as the greatest act of love, right? So when I am able, so I'm going to read that sentence over before that. It says, there are only so many people who would sacrifice their interests to make sure that others are fulfilled. This can be seen as the highest form of trust, also defined as the greatest act of love, right? Which, I get Christian for a couple seconds, right? The example in the story in the book of Jesus Christ, right? He laid his life down, right? They say even in the army and the service, that's the biggest form of love, is that, look, that person can't do anything for me, but I'm going to go completely out of my way for them, and I'm willing to sacrifice it all. That is the rawest form of love and the rawest form of trust, right? So you are putting others' interests ahead of your own. The funny part about it is this anomaly that is that all parties tend to get what they want when this is present. When everybody's constantly looking out for everybody else, and they all know that they're going to get what they want, right? All mission, vision, and everything is aligned within your organization, within your company, within your family, within your brain. You're going to succeed. When you're constantly looking out for number one, that's pretty much all you're left with at the end of the day is number one. So if you want to be surrounded by the best of the best, then you have to look out for the best of the best. All right, so it says, what kind of loyalty should we expect from our company that we work for, or if you own your own business, clients? I don't know, not go to another company, right? Give us a heads up if they're not happy, right? As far as if you have employees, that's a sense of trust. It says, next one is, what loyalty should we expect from our spouse, right? Well, to stick with us, right? As far as like everything has to do under matrimony. The next one is, this is a complicated one for people. I remember when it was just me and my wife, and then we had our first child, right? And it became all about our children, right? 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? Rabbits multiply, okay? Yeah. So, but the sense of loyalty was to my spouse, but it was to my children because of my spouse. So these things change over time, right? And you can't say I have an absolute sense of loyalty and trust towards my wife without exception, nobody else, right? Because we need to put our kids first when it comes down to it. So these are all questions we must ask ourselves on how we choose to be loyal. We should not blame someone for choosing to be loyal differently. Still, we should evaluate someone's actions, gauging their loyalty, so we can invest our faith and trust into benefit the group mutually. When someone chooses to not pick your side, it is tricky to understand because we have our self-interest, right? Or they don't have the interest of the group at heart. But knowing there is a limit to selflessness and prioritizing those who are close to them in a way to respect boundaries, that's a way to respect their boundaries while also raising the overall expectations that end up getting completed. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you assume 100% loyalty, 100% trust without any exceptions whatsoever, you're going to be let down, right? Once again, there has to be a point where the selflessness ends and you focus on yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to help others. And, the way I was, raised and, I don't know, the last 6 years of being saved, is that it's God, family, business, right? And that's difficult for some businesses, right? It's difficult for my own business. It's just something that you have to start to accept, and you want people like that. You don't want people that are going to be 100% loyal to you, do whatever it takes to be able to just climb over people. No, you don't want that. All right, so knowledge and wisdom. So this is the third type. This is, we'll assume that we're going to assume two words, the definitions on it first. So we'll assume that when we use the word knowledge, we are describing it as verified, tested, and probability favored information that is useful. Okay? Believe in absolutes, I have to, right? As the original foundation of having a creator, right? With a creation, right? The sun goes this way, in the morning, and it comes down, at night this way, right? There's a predictability about what we have. So I believe in absolutes, right? When it gets down to information and and the fallacies that are human brains and being able to make decisions, right? That is my best definition I can give you. Is we will assume that when we use the word knowledge, we are describing it as verified, tested, and probability favored information that is useful. Because you don't find too many things that are 100%, right? Here's one thing. We will also assume wisdom is the ability to use the proper knowledge at the right time to achieve the maximum result. I wish we could only trust someone's knowledge or wisdom when they experience it firsthand. If we did that, however, we would have to rule out everything we learned in school, indirectly, news, scientific experiments, and everything else that is not firsthand. Another timeout moment. There's a couple definitions of wisdom, right? Then knowing the difference between right and wrong is another definition of wisdom, right? Another definition, which I mentioned a little bit later, is not just using information properly, but knowing when you don't know, right? And willing being able to say that. So many people in my life, I can tell you, and from I've seen in every single company, every single shape, form, or culture, are people that they want to add something to the conversation, right? It's like an id-ego kind of thing. You ask them, well, how does this work? And versus them just saying, look, I don't know how it works, they take a guess. They go, well, I think it works like this, or let me Google search it. Or it's like, if you don't know, please tell me you don't know, right? That's the other definition of wisdom that we have to make sure that we take in and we internalize. Okay, so time in. All right, so if we did that, however, start over. If it did, however, we would have to rule out everything that we learned directly, right? Understanding where the information source is, questioning the credibility of that source, and how the original message stayed in its original form are questions we should ask to gauge the trustworthiness of knowledge. Oral knowledge. Wisdom is not sensitive to industry or field type. It is a universal concept and a skill of every individual to use the correct information at the right time to get the desired result. Bruce Lee has a statement, I'll say it over and over and over again. It's one of my favorite statements that he has. I don't fear a man who has done, who knows 1,000 kicks and has done them once. I fear a man, or I would be leery of a man who has done one kick 1,000 times. I think it's 10,000, but you get the idea, right? Is that if you maximize your time focused on the basics, right? And you really hone in, you make that one thing your go-to. You're just so good at finding the different angles of the one thing. It's much better than only doing, or knowing 1,000 things and only doing them once. Okay? So, not to however, we rule out everything in schools and news. We're going to acknowledge wisdom is not sensitive to industry, field, or type. It is a universal concept. Once again, so we need to be able to realistically apply wisdom and separate it from all other knowledge, right? It's not how many kicks I know and I pull out, it's how I use the few amount of kicks that I do and pull them out at the right time. Tools, resources, whatever it is. Using those in maximum efficiency is the definition of wisdom we're going to use here in the concept. So there are long-term wisdom concepts such as thinking before speaking or acting. That is universally applied as such a broad concept, but it's a wisdom concept. There are short-term wisdom concepts such as knowing using the right tool, the right book. Oh, that's in this book, that's on this website, right? And I think there is value in knowing when an expert surrounds you, or not, right? Or having someone with you that has the wisdom to know when someone is knowledgeable is much more beneficial. So I don't want to have one person who's an if I had a choice, right, of who's going to run the company, who's going to run an organization, do I want somebody who's super knowledgeable in one area, or do I want somebody who is really good at wisdom and picking out those knowledgeable different areas, right, and pulling out the person with the right information and making sure that they have all the right knowledge at their hands, okay? So that's it for that area. The next area is moral and ethical, right? It's another very common one when we think of trust. Once again, knowing someone's core values can be gauged by what they have tattooed. Once again, knowing someone's core values cannot be gauged by what they have tattooed on their body, although that is a very serious commitment, or put in their standard operating procedures that half the company doesn't read, right? Or that's just my experience, with standard operating procedures, or what they have engraved on their jewelry. Okay? Knowing someone's core values becomes very apparent if you pay attention to their actions, right? One of the questions to ask yourself is, what is this person willing to sacrifice to get the desired result, right? What are they, time, money, whatever, right? What are they willing to sacrifice? And then using the same idea, gauging what a person is unwilling to sacrifice to get their desired result is a part of their core, right? It's core things I'm not getting rid of. Core meaning core principles, values, and non-negotiable items. When will the people around us decide to sacrifice their foundational principles, right? Not the core, but their foundation, what they say they believe, they say they will do. And what will those consistently be? Knowing that can help you, right? to understand when you can depend on someone during challenging times. There are some people that just thrive in challenging times, right? And they're focused, that they love it, right? It's what they enjoy. Well, that's something to know about something, right? It's to have faith in that over time. All right, so confidence or confide. A couple articles I've gone over this. I love the idea of this word because it really shows what faith is. Faith is not blind, right? Good faith is blind, right? You just, all right, I've learned everything I need to learn. I trust, God 100%. Boom, gone, right? That's amazing faith, right? But faith is built through knowledge and being wise about the knowledge, right? So there are more classifications there are more classifications you can trust, but this will be the last one we discuss. All the capabilities and the rest of the trust types only mean little if the person does not believe in their ability to do so, along with the will or drive to do so. So, time out. Yeah, if you don't believe that you can do something, you won't even get out of bed. We used to have this exercise that we would do where somebody would hold their arm out, right? And you would push it down, right? You would ask them, okay, you can do 2 sales this week, and they're like a rock, right? They ain't going nowhere. You get up to like 20, and they're whoop, just whoop, and you switch arms. It doesn't even matter, right? It's because they don't feel confident, right? So their body's not moving towards it, their mind's not moving towards it, and their heart's not going to move towards it, right? And then just because you can believe that you're going to do something doesn't mean that you have the passion and the drive to do so. Those are two different things, right? So, etymologically wise, confidence comes from the Latin, specifically the noun confidentia, right? Which is from the verb confidere, or to confide, okay? Which can be broken down into 2 parts, right? So if you take a look at the word confidence, you have con and fide, right? Con means with, fide means faith. So if you're confident, what are you? You're filled with faith, okay? So is someone's faith grounded, or is it just wishful thinking? Regardless, when somebody states they are confident, they are with faith. We need to know when someone will be full of will and faith, or when they will be filled with fear and surrendered. Okay, so those are synonymous, right? Those are examples. In fact, I even asked, Google. I said, hey man, what's what is, if the opposite of faith is fear, what's the opposite of will? And they said surrendered. And I thought that was very appropriate, right? If you're filled with fear, you've lost before you even started, right? If you have faith, then you're going to constantly be filled with will and desire, and it's all going to go from there, right? You got to believe in yourself first, and you can do it, and then you'll start moving towards it. Check out the Dog Walk Talks and a couple of the articles that we have. I go into a little bit more of this concept of confide. I just don't want to get into right now and just be duplicating information. All right, so it says, how can we measure trust? An accurate assessment or measurement can be done by comparing commitments promised to actions produced. Unfortunately, we cannot depend on the commitment of someone who makes promises alone, right? However, recording results over time helps us gain clarity. This does not cause us to avoid being let down or not investing our trust efficiently. However, the more data that we have over an extended period of time, the actual results compared to the commitments. So the more data we have of people making commitments and either filling them or not filling them, the overall better decisions we can make, or the higher the probability we can predict the route someone will choose. In essence, this is the trust that we have that is measurable. When you do not have experience working with the person or groups of people, you can ask a trusted wisdom buddy, right? Somebody who knows, oh man, that person's got wisdom, right? I have faith in their wisdom. For their opinion. When getting to know someone, until we have that experience with them, we can read the commitment in their tone of voice, body language, showing faith in their abilities. We have to until we can perceive their limits, right? People also change constantly, right? What they can do, what they couldn't do yesterday, they can do today. So we should be doing a daily assessment, live assessment, which ends up being one of the most exciting parts of life and dealing with people. So how much people will surprise us and improve is just awesome, I think. One of my mentors always told me, you cannot change people, but people can change themselves, right? So your job isn't to change people. Your job is to be an amazing example of change, right? A catalyst in people's lives, right? That causes them to want to change, and then they will go change. That's the idea. What do people trust about your types? Asking you, right? What do you need to improve on your self-trust, right? Your confidence, your self-confidence. What are your limits? When do people depend on you, and what do they rely on for you? No one is unworthy of trust. You have no opinion on the above types if you genuinely do not trust someone. Wait a minute. So no one is unworthy of trust. People deserve your trust. They deserve your attention. They deserve your interest. The only way is that you don't have trust is if you have no opinion of any of the above types, right? If you generally do not, that's how you generally do not trust people. You also have yet to invest any perception to gauge the untrustworthiness. Everyone is worth that interest. So the next time someone wants to know if you trust them, you can say that without a shadow of a doubt, you trust them. It's a joke between a lot of people that I've mentored and worked with. Is I go, do you trust me? I go, oh yeah, I trust you. Here's what I trust. I trust that you statistically will tend to repeat yourself unless a change is present inside over a long period. Like some people, they're just selfish. They make selfish decisions over and over again. I trust they're going to be selfish, so I trust them. Okay? So the single skill of having the wisdom to know whom you can trust and when you can trust them, on what you can trust them on, will change your life. But only when you pay attention to someone and how can affect people, building areas of trust with them, right? That is why coaching others is a passion of mine. As my trust builds in them, their ability for me to coach them builds up as well, right? So their trust of my ability to coach them goes up until we become one cohesive unit moving towards positive success in the form of mutation, right? Things grow slowly. You're like, a mutation's like, okay. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and post this. I'm going to post this actually on LinkedIn. I'm going to be posting it on YouTube. I think it's a long enough video by far. And, I like to do a lot more than these, guys. So, please subscribe. Please like the channels. Check out our Facebook. And then if you need any kind of coaching whatsoever, we specialize in a few areas. We specialize in life coaching. We specialize in business consulting, right? In certain areas. We only go in areas that we know, right? The wisdom to know, right? And then we also deal with a few different new areas when it comes down to coaching, which is career development. So resumes, cover letters, job placement, interview preparation. And the last one that we do is retirement coaching. So if you're the type of person or you are the person that is heading into that second phase of life, look, it's not a retirement like you're being retired, right? It's that you're starting into your second form of life with the assets, resources, and the availability to do something special, right? You've already done something special in your first part. Let's help you do something special in the second part. So those are the areas that we specialize in, right? We have coaches on standby. Our organization is growing. And if you want to become a coach of Kingdom Leaders, you just go ahead and contact us on the website, give us a call, right? Or just hit me up on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk to you about becoming a Kingdom Leader. And all we're doing is just trying to connect you with the people that need your products, services, or expertise. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and end this with a quick prayer, just saying thank you to the Lord for everything. So, God, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be able to learn from the words that you've designed and the world that you've designed. We really, truly appreciate it. You look out for our company, look out for the people that are viewing this, and people who aren't viewing this, get them to watch it. I'm just kidding. But thank you very much, Lord. We appreciate you, and God bless. Thank you again.